The Honourable Lady seems to not take any ownership of what the SNP government is doing in Scotland on their farming policies.
Yeah, that's enough of that, Alex. Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well on this fine fettle of a Friday morning. Well, here's a bit of a really ridiculous video where it just basically shows you where we are politically when you have people like this guy making a mockery of having empty shelves. You know, people who, when it comes to getting into a supermarket, you'll find most of the shelves are beyond their price range, and now they're getting even smaller because they're empty shelves. Well, up steps our cretin, Sir Desmond Swayne, for his bit of infinite wisdom.
Sir Desmond Swayne.
If only I had been told before I voted for Brexit that it was going to cause frosts in Morocco, I could have made a different decision, couldn't I?
Yeah, they're laughing. You know, that's just taking absolute, because they know he's an absolute complete bell tap. Now, you're going to have to listen to the nonsense that our Thérèse Coffey has to say, but don't you worry, there'll be a bit of rational thinking and a bit of a pretty good speech after.
Well, Mr. Speaker, one of the joys of being the Secretary of State for DEFRA is that you have both the environment and agriculture in the same portfolio. And that leads us to take a very sensible, careful, long-term approach about considering the factors that can both help our farming sector and can also help the environment. That's why...
That's not what they said after the referendum result, did they? They basically said, don't you worry, once we leave, we'll be able to ignore Brussels and go to Berlin. Other countries will be falling over themselves to do trade deals with us.
We've designed the Environmental Land Management Scheme. It's why we're on this careful journey as we move people from a very rigid element of what was BPS under the Common Agricultural Policy, where in this country, about more than half the subsidy went to just 10% of the farmers. And that's the point. And the Honourable Gentleman, I think, wanted to go back into the European Union. That was the decision. Was it being made by all the countries? So the Honourable Gentleman clearly doesn't know his history or actually know anything about CAP. What he should be doing, unlike the Shadow Secretary of State, who now seems to be undermining the Environmental Land Management Scheme, they should be recognising that some of the initiatives that we've been funding, a number of different grants, the way...
Yeah, that's enough of that. Dross is just talking out of her backside, isn't she, really? And I'm not going to have you suffer the absolute name drivel of this person. So, let's move on to Patricia Gibson, SNP MP, spokesman, and, spokeswoman, should we say. I do apologise. And let's get to the point where you hear a bit of rational thinking and a bit of truth. Enjoy.
Mr. Speaker, the Secretary of State's response shows that she and her government refuse to take any responsibility for their own shortcomings. Farmers across the UK have been warning of the risk of food shortages for some time as a result of rising costs and Brexit trade barriers. So why did this government not heed those warnings? Who would have thought in 2023 the UK would be facing food shortages, which, despite what we're being told, is uniquely affecting the UK, the only European country with empty supermarket shelves? The reality is that food shortages are due to low food production, which is in serious decline under this government's watch. In addition, the supermarket sector has been, and I quote, hurt horribly by Brexit, according to the Chief Executive of Sainsbury's. The chair of Save British Food has accused the government of, and I quote, absolute negligence and not caring about food production and shattering food security. Is the Secretary of State, in all honesty, not embarrassed and ashamed that under her and her government's watch the UK is poorer, has less food, a declining agricultural sector and higher food costs because of Brexit failure and the empty rhetoric of taking back control?
I'll let you just have a little taste of the reply. It's quite pathetic, really.
Mr. Speaker, I don't recognise a lot of what the Honourable Lady says in terms of food production. That might be true in Scotland, but that's a devolved element, so she might want to go and look. But the Honourable Lady seems to not take any ownership of what the SNP government is doing in Scotland on their farming policies. So what
Yeah, that's enough of that. Yeah, so that's what I found hilariously funny is the fact that we're now in a position where we've got absolute cretins like Desmond Swayne in Parliament, you know, making political votes, should we say, and we've got this absolute lunatic in government. And you saw her at that farmers' union thing, you know, where she's talking to Miss Batters, I've forgotten her first name, her name escapes me, where she's basically telling everybody in the hall, you know, to stop talking the country down and you should basically just shut up and listen to me because I know more about farming than you will ever know. And that's the way she was, and just totally patronised them. And the day after, I was listening to the James O'Brien show, and he had a farmer on who's been a farmer, man and boy, for 47 years, and he basically said that woman doesn't have a clue what she's talking about. But here we are, you know, this is the reality we live in, you know, empty shelves, and you've got a Thérèse Coffey denying reality, and Desmond Swayne, who thinks this is all just a joke and a laugh and nothing to worry about because of a simple reason. We're all right, Jack. All I can say is, as soon as we get rid of these absolute bell taps, the better, innit? Right, anyway, I shall leave the video in because I've rabbited on long enough, haven't I? So I shall bid you farewell and take care.